were the SAMs, surface-to-air missiles. SAMs could be brutally effective and very lethal. The only way to avoid them was to maneuver, and that would bleed off energy and drive the target aircraft down into the flak envelope, where North Vietnamese gunners could pick them off. The old tactic of cruising into bad guy country at 16 to 20,000 feet was history. Facing the problem, Smith decided to ingress at 6 to 8,000 feet, which allowed them to execute a quick dive for the deck in case of a missile launch. Yes, they were in range of flak guns at that altitude, but hey, life's a compromise. The aircraft had been retrofitted with missile detection gear that sounded an alert when the plane was acquired by search radar, when the SAM fire control radar locked up an individual airplane, and when a missile was in the air being guided toward it. The sounds that came through the pilot's earphones as each of these evolutions took place were unique, and they couldn't have been worse if a Hollywood horror film composer had arranged them. The beam of the sweeping search radar made a chirp each time it illuminated the plane, so these chirps were regular and a few seconds apart as the radar antennae made its circle on its mount. When the missile fire control radar locked on, the tone became loud and steady. As the pilot's adrenaline level went into medical emergency overload, he waited and waited. And then, there it was. The tone began to cycle, a deedle or warble, indicating that the fire control radar had been switched to a higher pulse repetition frequency, PRF, so as to locate you, the target, more precisely in three-dimensional space. Red lights, one on each side of the bomb site, illuminated on the glare shield above the instrument panel and said missile, just in case the pilot was terminally stupid or humming an Elvis tune. The finale occurred when the missile had been in the air for 6 seconds, and the first stage dropped away. The earphone tone went to a screaming warble as the detection gear picked up the actual guidance commands that the fire control radar was sending to the missile. The red missile lights on the glare shield began flashing. The SA-2 missile was supersonic now and on its way to kill you. That was a moment. To make matters worse, it was not unusual for the North Viets to launch multiple missiles, or, if they wanted to kill you badly enough, multiple missiles from different launch sites, which meant the deadly things came from different directions. The defense against a missile, whether one or many, was to outmaneuver it, which cost the planes energy and soon had them headed for the dubious safety of Mother Earth waiting below. That miserable morning, the two Skyhawks began their jinking routine as they approached the coast while listening to the chirp of the search radars. The dawn revealed the usual Vietnam soup-like haze. They couldn't see crap in the early light. There was no way they could make out the details of the bridge from a reasonable distance, and overflying the bridge at 3,000 or 4,000 feet would just get them killed. Smith could see only one option. He figured swooping out of the haze with the rising sun at his back in his corkscrewing little A4 gave him his best chance. Maybe he could surprise the North Vietnamese gun crews while they ate their breakfast of rice balls and fish heads or whatever. This was probably not a very bright idea, as the bridge defenders were undoubtedly on alert, waiting for an American plane to come motoring by to assess the effect of last night's strike. The Americans were as predictable as the tides. They always sent a plane or two after an attack to do damage assessment. The Viet gunners had only to wait until the sucker showed up. Yet that was the only idea Smith had. He gulped down a deep breath, detached his wingman, and told him to keep him in sight. He pitched off at about 8,000 feet and headed downhill at full throttle. About a mile or so short of the bridge, he leveled at 50 feet above the Ma River while going about 650 miles per hour. So far, so good. Uh-oh, some tracers. Holy crap, lots of tracers, and some geysers in the water ahead of him. He was jinking as best he could while flat on the deck, and the bridge was coming up fast. Smith pitched the nose up.